In today's video, we're going to be doing a tier list for Operation Prep Phase in Year 10 of Siege. This list is based on my ranked experience in this season. After playing for a little while, I think I have a pretty good feel for the current meta, and if you guys disagree with anything, be sure to let me know in the comments. I want to know what you guys think. Alright, let's get into the video. Alright, we have Striker and Sentry. I'd say Sentry, probably A or B tier. Like, you have a lot of utility for a defender. Like, I can run a shield, I can run C4s and impacts. Like, it's just a lot of time waste, a lot of explosives. You can deny a lot with that. Striker, on the other hand, I'd probably say B tier. I don't really see much use in like the uh, impact EMP and hard breach charge combo because like most people are gonna be tricking these days or like running Tabaro or something. I don't think you're gonna get a whole lot out of that. But I'd say definitely B tier because you can still run flashes and nades, which is pretty good. Sledge, I'd say Sledge is still an A tier operator. Like Sledge has been there for quite a while. I mean, maybe he's like lost SMG, lost this, lost that, but he has like a solid gun. He has nades. I mean, he might be like, entering like B territory, but I think I play him enough to where I'd put him in A. I still think he's a really good operator. You have Vert, like just a super solid operator. You can't go wrong playing him. He's just like the versatile like flex operator. Thatcher, I'd probably say with like all the tricking and everything that we have today in Siege, I'd probably say that Thatcher would be more of a B tier operator. I mean, yeah, he's good for like countering Kite and everything, but I mean, honestly, how often are you gonna like get a wall open just because you have a Thatcher? Like nowadays, you need nades, you need this, you need that. So I honestly think I'm gonna put Thatcher in B tier. And then Ash, I'd say Ash is probably also a B tier operator because utility wise, she doesn't bring a lot to the table. It is really nice to have like all the, soft destruction, like you can open castle
Well, I
barricades.
think she's good for Mira. I don't know if you know
Oh
the
yeah,
arena
I
Mira,
guess I
but me and
forgot
Ash is
about
like really
Mira.
good,
I forgot about Mira.
especially on
I'll
theme
put her in
park and the
A.
control. Like when you pop control hatch, throw a nade, open the wall, break the Mira, and you pretty much just run into backside. You can plant.
Yeah, I'll put her in A. I forgot about like the Mira counter. I think that
Yeah,
like
that's like the
steps her
best
up
use for her
because
right now.
it pretty much just she's
Mira's
like the
strong.
only main like Mira counter. I mean, I know people say Kali, but like who's really running a Kali
Kali
just
doesn't have
for
a
a
gun.
Mira?
Kali doesn't have an ACOG.
Okay, Thermite. I'd say Thermite is a pretty solid breacher, especially now that like how fast paced, getting walls is now, like, trying to counter all the tricking and everything. So I'd say Thermite is probably this is a tricky one. I'd probably say he's an A tier operator. Just because like he's hard breach, you're always gonna need him. He has a really good gun. He has smokes, he has flashes. I think having flashes on a breacher is pretty good because it makes like covering for your plants pretty easy. So I'll say I'll probably put him in A tier.
Chicken
Twitch,
jockey.
Twitch, I'll probably put in C tier. Her gun is garbage. I know people are gonna say like, "Oh, I can control it." I don't care. Stop playing that operator. The drones are really good. Like back when I used to main Twitch, I'd spend the first minute of every round on my drones just getting as much util as possible. It made attacking super easy. But, nowadays with the recoil, she's really just not worth playing. DMRs on attack aren't really that great in my opinion. I mean, they're situational, but you don't want to be running them too often. It kind of puts you in a box. So I'd say Twitch is probably a C tier operator. Monty, honestly, I used to be the biggest Monty main, and like when they first changed shields, I mean, now that like you can't down people on hit, I think it's really made shields suck because if you have more than one person like pushing you, you're probably just dead. Like you don't really have much counterplay to that now. You kind of just have to ADS people and hope for the best.
I
So
disagree.
I'd say Monty is probably a D tier operator. He's
I don't know.
pretty mid now.
I think Monty's an S tier operator. I don't think you're really ever picking Monty if you're solo queue. So I don't know. I feel like that kind of validates your
He
point of
just
like,
he doesn't have any fragging potential now though.
well, I don't think shields need fragging potential
Well, yeah, all
if
he
they're
is a
played right.
distraction though. I just say like, I mean, he might edge up to C. Like maybe I'll put him in
I
C,
don't.
but I don't know. He's just like He's just not as good as he used to be. Like I don't know. I haven't struggled with Monty in a while. I haven't played against a team where I've been like, damn, this Monty's really destroying us. Like now you can punch him, so he's not even good in 1v1s anymore. Like I don't know. I just think I think in like a good coordinated 5v5 match, Monty's not gonna do a whole lot. Glaz, I'd say Glaz has probably gotta be a C tier operator as well because he's good, especially like seeing through the smokes and everything, having nades, all that. But then again, like you're gonna want to run smokes, so there's not really a lot of incentive to run nades, especially after the nade nerf. So I'd say Glaz is probably like a C tier operator. Um, kind of when you're playing Glaz, if what you set out to do when you first started playing him doesn't work, you're kind of just useless. So I don't know. I'll definitely put him in C tier. Fuse, Fuse is a D tier operator. He's situational. He can be very good. That's why he's not an F tier. Like if you're pushing site and you spam Fuse like the other side of site, it can be super useful, and it's good for getting util and everything. But at the same time, there's just better like vertical operators that you could play. Like you could run a ram, you could run a buck, whatever, and still shoot the util. Like it's good for that, but I just think there's not really a situation where you're gonna be like, oh, we need a fuse. So Blitz, I'd probably put Blitz at a B tier. I think his flashes kind of make him more versatile than Monty now. Obviously, Monty has the protection and like he's able to get out of situations better because he can extend and back off. But I think Blitz just has more fragging potential at this like current moment in Siege. Like, because you can flash people, so it kind of gives you more room to like take those 1v2 fights. So you're not just like completely defenseless. IQ, I'd probably put IQ in D tier. I just don't really know when you're ever gonna really need an IQ for anything unless there's a Valk. But honestly, Valk is banned so much that like it doesn't really matter. Like I don't know. I don't really know what you're doing with IQ that you can't do with like most other operators. Like, you can go under and like get gadgets from below, but then, most people who do that are kind of just solo. And if they aren't, then they're probably just like bucking up or something like that anyway. So I don't really see a big use for IQ in this meta. And like she has nades, which is good, but nades kind of suck now except for getting util. So I don't know. She's kind of like a nothing operator, I'd say. And honestly, I don't really like the commando anymore. Like it's gone through some changes and like it's a bit bumpier now. It just doesn't feel that great. So definitely D tier on IQ. Buck, easy S tier. I mean, he might not deserve the S tier spot. Like he probably deserves like A tier, but he's so versatile. Like he has flashes. He has a really good gun. He has the underbarrel shotgun, and it's good because you can switch so fast. So you can just like shotgun the floor, switch to your gun, kill somebody like immediately. You can make so many plays with that shotgun.
Well,
Like
also
it's
it's like if you see an opening, like I feel like Chalet is a good
well, yeah, he's
example.
the
And like
best.
trench
Like
door, if you see an opening, you drone yourself, you play on the door, you buck the door open, and then you just run into sight, and you're in there before they can like hear the barricade hit the floor. If that
yeah,
makes sense.
he's really good for like gap hitting as well. Um,
That's
and
like kind of how I play him. Because
and then
like your
he's
alternatives are the what's her name? What's the alternative to buck?
Cali
No,
for opening
the
doors fast. I mean,
not doors, just like stuff.
I don't know, but either way, like Buck is just so good for like he's really the only or attacker
Ram,
that can play vertical from like below. I mean, sure you could play
ram and
like Ash
sledge.
or like explosives and like all that, but you're not really like you can't sledge from like below, right? So I think that puts Buck in S tier. Blackbeard, I'd say Blackbeard is probably B tier along as with Blitz. Like I said, he has a more like offensive capabilities like Blitz, having the flashes with having like an actual AR. So you could just like play him like a normal operator if you just ADS. So like I think that's pretty good. But at the same time, I haven't really been oppressed by a Blackbeard. Like if I see a Blackbeard, I kind of just fall back and play with my team, and he's pretty useless because he can't push. Like I'd say Monty has the advantage of being the only shield that can really push things, because Monty can extend the shield. You kind of have to get an opening with Blitz and Blackbeard. And if the other team knows that you're running these operators, it's kind of too late to hit that gap. So I'd say I'd say he's definitely like a B tier. Capitao, you don't see Capitao played that much, but I mean he's super versatile. He's kind of like a Grim type where he just denies an area for a while. I'd probably put him in A tier. I definitely think he's underrated. His AR is super good. I think he's still a 3 speed, so he's like has the fragging potential. He has a ton of utility. Like I think any operator that has more than like 4 pieces of utility is automatically good, and that's not even counting like side gadgets. So overall, pretty like good versatile operator. Can't really go wrong with a Capitao. Habana, I'd say Habana is probably a B tier operator. And I say this because her breaches are so slow that there's just not a whole lot that you can do with them. I mean, sure, you can play her for like hatch sites, like Clubhouse and whatever. But even then, like I could just run a thermite and put it on like the side if I needed to. Like it's just more versatile. Like I think Habana, her pellets just detonate way too slowly to where you're never gonna get a main wall, and you're never gonna make a good breach either. So yeah, I'd definitely say she's B tier. Her gun's insanely good though. Like I love her gun, and she has the bearing, so super versatile when it comes to the guns and 3 speed. But besides that, I don't see her played much compared to the other breachers. But she's a breacher, so that puts her up automatically. Jackal, I'd say Jackal's another B tier operator. I think he's like good. He kind of punishes people for playing the game, so he's like annoying. But I don't think Jackal's ever gonna like make or break your defense. So, I mean, even his gun isn't as good as it used to be, but he still has 2 pretty solid guns. So, like, he's definitely a good operator, and he's definitely a good person to play if you're playing against like people who love to roam. But I think there's a lot of counterplay to Jackal, and I think you can even get baited by tracking people. So, definitely B tier operator. Ying, I've been a Ying hater for like the longest time, but she has gone a bit better. I'd probably put her in D. A good Ying execute is like really good, but getting a good Ying execute is super hard because you never know when you're gonna full flash everybody. Someone's gonna find that little corner to hide behind that's gonna, keep them unflashed, and then they're gonna just peek you while you're planting or trying to kill them, whatever. Um, it's really good for taking space, but I don't know. It's just like a fuse operator where it's kind of just you're trying to make a play, and if that play doesn't come together perfectly, then you're just not going to do anything with that operator.
Ketis.
Zofia, I'd probably put Zofia at B tier. I think Zofia is like, um, actually B or A. I can't really tell. She has the
B, B, B. If she was still a 2 speed, I'd say A, but
yeah. I guess it's kind of hard to like swing stuff with her these days. But even
yeah.
then, like she has a lot of utility. Like I said, any operator with more than 4 pieces of utility is pretty good. Like you just have 4 throwables with her and then breach charges. So, especially if you're playing vert or whatever, you can do a lot. You can help your team push in by stunning. But honestly, I just don't see her play that much, and her gun isn't what it used to be, though it has gone a lot better. So I'd say B or A. She's like kind of bordering A, but I'll put her in B tier. Dokkaebi, probably an A tier operator. Like she got nerfed, so you can't use her. You can't like spam her call nowadays. But she's still that doesn't really change her that much because you're not going to be using the calls that often anyway. And honestly, like you shouldn't be using the calls within the first like 30 seconds of the round anyway. So her having that limit doesn't really do a lot except for like rushes, I suppose. The boss G kind of sucks now, but she does have the DMR. And the DMR would like put her down if she didn't have the SMG 12, which is just like insanely good. So, I'm definitely gonna put Dokkaebi in A tier. She's close to S though. She's definitely close. Just like Lion, I think both operators that are just really good for like capitalizing. But I don't know if Lion would be on that same level, so I'm gonna give him a B. He's definitely just a good like all around operator that you can just play. Like you can play Lion pretty much whenever, and he's always gonna be effective. but his gun is pretty mid, or his guns, I should say. He doesn't have sidearm SMGs. He has slow fire rate, which makes like his playstyle kind of hard to pull off. Um, but he does have flashes, which is good. But yeah, like I don't know, Lion hasn't really been like super impactful on my games, at least recently. Um,
Big
Finka,
Brother is always watching.
I'd say Finka is another operator that's around the same area. I don't know if I should give her A or B because like she can revive her teammates, and being the only attacker that can heal up her teammates is
Give her
pretty
A.
useful.
She has nades.
Yeah, she has nades. Yeah, she is very self-sufficient. She can heal.
And
She's a
the
support.
healing is permanent and imminent now, so Giba's Clomp.
She can support her team. She's like the only attacker who can support her team like that. She can destroy utility with her nades, and she has a pretty decent LMG. It's not as good as it was, but like it's still pretty good. Like I've been making plays with the LMG lately. Maverick, I'd say Maverick is probably an A tier operator as well. He's just one of those operators that like can always he can just always like open whatever wall. Like there's nothing that's going to stop a Maverick from opening a wall. So he can just counter pretty much everything. But then again, like the holes you're making with Mav are kind of like just 50-50 gunfights. Like yeah, maybe you'll win them, but chances are you just get one tapped, right? Like I think I think he's definitely A tier though, just for the simple fact that he can open whatever he wants to open, but it doesn't really go much past that. But his gun's good. He has flashes. He has nades. Like he's a good all-around operator. You can make him work in a lot of situations on sites with like walls. Making some mav holes on a wall just is gonna scare defenders no matter what. So definitely an A tier. Nomad, I'd say Nomad is probably a B tier. Her gun's good. She has flashes, but then again, her air jabs are the best gadget for denying flanks if you place them right. But even then, like I feel like there's ways around it. And like if there's noise going on, you can just hit it and most of the time they don't even hear. So and even then, like a lot of the time they're pushed up to the so far that like you hitting their air jab, like they have to deal with you now. So I'd say B. But then again, a bad air jab can really just create a false sense of security. And this is gonna blow a lot of your minds, but I'm gonna put Gridlock in A tier. She's gonna be above Nomad, and that's because Gridlock. I think Gridlock is in a different category though. She's not a flank watch. I think she's best as like a Grim Capitao type, where you throw them onto site during an execute. Because think about it, if I throw a Gridlock like in the middle of site while I'm going for a plant, add some smokes and stuff, like you throw the Gridlocks in the smokes. How are they gonna shoot that? How are they gonna push up on you? Like there's no way they can. It's just a huge distraction. It's loud. It like you can take space with it. Even just taking space throughout the map. Like a lot of the time, like I'll be pushing something and I'll just throw a gridlock at the guy I'm pushing. That gives me like 2 seconds where he has to shoot them, and I can just like take space. Like it's super useful for that, especially when paired with teammates. Um, Knock. I'd say Knock is probably a C tier operator. She's still good for like especially like high ranks where people are going to be sitting on cams. You can definitely make some plays by sneaking past cams, but honestly, this like not having silent step now really puts her down. Um, like she was super OP with silent step, but her guns aren't that great. Uh, she's like a lot of the games that you guys get into, and like me as well, like ranked games, like you're not really gonna be sitting on cams like that. So really the silent step is the only thing that's going to impact you personally. And like this tier list is mainly for like ranked and like my current like champ ranked experience. So I'd say in that like in this level of play, Knock is definitely a C tier. I don't know. I don't really watch Pro League. Maybe she's good in that because people are sitting on cams. I like that's the last time I checked. But as she stands now in ranked, I don't think she's that great. Amaru, she's just like a solid operator. I'd put her in C tier as well. Good guns. She can get on the roof fast, like, maybe get a pick or like watch rotations.
She can't
Uh,
because she has the 16-second cooldown in the beginning of the rounds.
yeah, she still gets like on the roof faster than a lot of other operators, even
Yeah, it's just
despite that.
unfortunate. You
Yeah.
can't use her gadget where her gadget is
Yeah, I don't know why they added
should
that
be the most
because
productive.
that was like the fun part about it. But she is really good for setting up plays, right? Like if I'm doing like a skylight push on like cafe or something and I have like and I have a teammate who's playing Amaru and she's sitting on pillar door just waiting to go into heaven window and like as we're making noise and like she has a drone and everything, like that's a really good execute. And like there's a lot of like applications for that. But then again, it is just a kind of like high risk, high reward operator, which is never gonna be that good on a tier list because like it's more about consistency.
And
Um
gochujang sauce. Never
and
forget
then
about the
Callie.
gochujang sauce.
I'll put Callie in B. Callie is like she's good for getting stuff off wall, not the best. Her gun's pretty mid, I'd say, but it has its applications. Especially like holding pixels and stuff, body shotting people, it's pretty good for that kind of stuff. Um, can easily be baited out by just like a quick peek or something though, and then you just get full swung. But she does have the sidearm SMG. So I'd say Callie is super good for like gap hitting. I think the way people play Callie, at least in high elo, and especially like people that I know who play her like this. You just shoot down like you drone things out. You find an opening, you shoot down a barricade, you switch to the SMG, and then you walk in sight, or you walk in somewhere. And it's honestly super useful for that. You catch people off guard a lot because they hear a Cali on the door, they think you're gonna be sitting outside there. They don't expect somebody in their face with an SMG. So honestly, for that, she might get A tier, but I just think like realistically for the average player, she's probably going to be a B tier. So I'm going to keep her there. Yana, I'd say she's probably an A tier. G36C is like been fixed up. Like it doesn't feel like garbage anymore. She's like she's 3 speed. She has the white headgear, which is crazy on a lot of different maps, a lot of different situations. You can't see her head. Um, obviously guns good. Impact EMPs, and then I think she has flashes or nades. I can't remember.
Flashes.
Flashes. So she has like good side utility, and she just has infinite drones. And like coming from someone who barely uses her for the drones because I'm lazy, like having infinite drones is just super good. So I'm gonna put her in A tier. Ace, I'm gonna put Ace in S tier. Most versatile, hard breach. I mean, obviously he can't hit hatches that great, but then again, like most, like you're not gonna play him for that first of all, and second of all, like most maps where you would play an Ace for that, like a clubhouse or something, like you're just gonna use 2 charges because there's not much else to breach on that site. So I'd say like he's definitely an S tier operator. His gun is incredible. It's it works well at range, no recoil, ACOG, high damage. Like it has everything. It checks all the boxes of a great gun. Versatile gadget. It's the fastest hard breach, I'm pretty sure. And you can throw, like it has the advantage of you throw them. So if someone's bandit tricking, you just throw wall, and then he can't do anything unless there's like a Tabaro. But bandit tricking with Tabaro doesn't really work like it used to. Zero. I know a lot of people think Zero is super good. I personally don't see it that much. I get his cams are super good. I don't like his gun personally. I know a lot of people do because it's super high damage. I don't really care for it. It doesn't feel satisfying to me. He has a lot of utility, which is great, but I'll put him in B tier because I don't think it goes really much beyond that. Flores, I'd say Flores is probably an A tier. He's a very like underplayed A tier, but at the same time, like if you're playing in the right position with him, he can get like the entire utility away from the defenders. Like you push blue on Oregon, you get everything off of that. They don't really have much time to react to it. You just jump, detonate, and then their shields are gone, their ADSs are gone, and then you're pushing. Like there's a lot of applications for that. And honestly, you're never really going to go wrong playing him because there's always something you're going to be able to do with those. As long as you just don't play them to try and get kills because you're just not going to do that. Um, Osa, I'd say Osa is a B tier operator as well. Good gun, obviously. Um, good guns, I guess. Her gadget is good, especially in certain situations. It can be super oppressive. But other than that, like, you know, I think she's just super easy to counter. And if she's left alone, she's just an easy target. Because if you have that shield out, you're just dead. Like, a lot of the time, I'll see one pushing up, and I just like start tapping at their feet. And by the time they're like, have their shield set down, they're 1 HP or they're dead. So, and that's honestly more against like the people who play her, but I don't think she's super good. But you can make an argument for A tier for her. Sens, I know Sens has like kind of had like a glow up recently, but I think I'm gonna put them in probably C tier because I just like uh honestly D tier for me personally. Like I understand like the uses and how there's like some maps and stuff where you can like make plays with it and now you can put the walls down. But I've personally never seen it executed well in like a ranked kind of environment. So, I'm gonna put Sens in D tier. Honestly, most people
Push it really low.
trying to make plays with Sens usually just ends up with you dying. So Grim, I'd say Grim's probably an S tier operator. Good gun, super good gadget. You can just start spamming them all over somewhere and then you can just push off of it. Super good for taking space. Probably the best operator when it comes to just taking space. You can spam them because it shoots fast. They last forever. They last a crazy amount of time. I don't even know what you get by shooting the canister because I don't even think that like slows its timer or speeds its timer up or anything. But yeah, definitely S tier for Grim. Brava. I'll put Brava in A or B. She has a good gun, decent gun. Um, Hacking gadgets can be super good, especially like cams and stuff, Maestro cams, which is being played more. Um, just general gadgets. But then again, I don't think I've seen her like used effectively enough to justify putting her in A tier. So I'm gonna put her in B. Ram, I'll say Ram is probably an A tier operator just for the simple fact that you can get so much utility without even pushing. Like, on a lot of maps, coastline, you can get full vert on a site from above. Same with like Clubhouse, same with Night Haven to an extent. But you can get so much vertical without even entering the map. Like, it puts a lot of pressure on the defenders. And she has a great gun, obviously, with the R4C. Flashes, which are always going to be good. And then we have Deimos. I'd say Deimos is definitely the operator that has like the most like his presence is felt a lot in my games. So I'm gonna put him in S tier. And that might be a bit controversial. I'm not sure. I don't really know what people be saying about operators these days. I don't really keep up with that. But Deimos is like he's the operator where when he's in play, I feel him the most. Even if I'm like killing him, whatever, like if Deimos tracks you, then you like have to deal with it. You have to do something or else he's just gonna kill you. 90% of the time that is. If you're roaming, you're pretty much screwed if he's like coordinated. I think he's just like the newer version of like Dokkaebi. Especially paired with a Dokkaebi. That's like a nightmare combo. But definitely an S tier operator, especially if the guns are good. You can run him with a shotgun because you have the revolver. But even like, even his primary is super good. Rora, I'll put Rora probably in C tier. I just like I get the plays with her gadget. But most of the time you just wait for audio and then you just shoot her door down and she won't hear it because it going up is so quiet. Like it going up and down is super quiet, which there's a lot of plays that you can make with that, which actually might put her up to B tier because you can make plays with that, and like it's good for temporary space making. Yeah, actually, yeah, I'll put her in B. I'll put her in B. But the big limiter is her guns. Her guns do not complement her playstyle at all because she has complete trash for guns. Like the DMR and then that pistol is awful. So B tier operator, maybe C tier. It could go either way. All right, smoke. Oops, smoke and mute. S S. I don't think I need to like say much about that. Literally just the most consistent operators in the game. I even just made a video about it. They have just for the longest time been super consistent. Like there's just not much to say about it. Like, mute counters like half of the attackers. SMG 11 and shotgun combo is just insane. It's so versatile. You can play it in any way, in any situation. You have a pretty good chance. The smokes are great for taking space as a defender or just denying areas for a while. Just S tier operators. Castle, I'd say Castle's a B tier mostly because he's just there's not a lot of like practical applications of him. Where he works very well, like maybe A to S tier level. But there's just not enough sites that really favor his playstyle. So I'm gonna put him in B tier. But then again, like it can't be like overlooked the power of just like doing just a random castle setup somewhere and then just distracting the enemy team with it. Like that could be super useful sometimes. So he does have that versatility, but that's pretty hard to pull off. So I'd say B tier. Pulse, I don't know what you're gonna do with Pulse if you're playing him. That you can't do with most other operators. Any operator with a C4 can pretty much do what Pulse does, unless you're like a rat and you want to play like across the map below or something. But even then, most of the time I see Pulses just left in like a 1v3 or a 1v2, with their C4. And maybe you make a play, mostly you don't. So I'm going to put them in D tier. I haven't died to a Pulse in so long, like from below. Like it's crazy. Um, as you can see, the F tier has no operators in it. That's because it's kind of hard to find an operator deserving of it in Siege. Because it's kind of hard to find a bad operator in Siege, but maybe we'll find one up here. Doc, I'll put Doc probably in A tier. He's just a great fragger. You have the ACOG on the MP5, which just feels great. You have the stim, so you're self-sufficient and you can like heal up your teammates to full HP. It heals from 140 now. Just great operator. Can't go wrong with him. Same with Rook. Rook with the self revive has made him so much more useful. I've seen so many. It was just like a week ago where like, or just a few days ago actually, where somebody like kind of traded with the last guy, but he got downed, and then he picked himself up with Rook armor and then won the round because of it. Like in terms of like round winning plays, Rook is like super good. So definitely an A tier. I'd say there's more useful operators to him, and it's kind of like a hoping for the bet or hoping for the worst kind of operator because he's most useful when you take the most damage. So that's like what's keeping him from being an S tier. But he's super good, like so much clutch potential in like those armor pieces. Capcan, probably a B. If you're good, you're not gonna die to Capcan. Like if you're aware and droning. Most people, me included, are too lazy for that, so we die to him all the time. Super annoying. But just for that simple fact, I'd say he's probably a B tier. Good gun, C4, like just a lot of fragging potential in that operator. Tachanka, his fire does like no damage. Um, his gun sucks. There's not a whole lot of redeeming qualities about this operator except he can kind of waste some time, especially on sites where like you gotta make like a last second plant. So I'd honestly say he could be our first F, cause I don't really see putting him above these operators who do have their like uses. I'd say there's so many better operators that you could play over Tachanka that there's not really any reason you should ever be playing him.
You could
Um,
play, honestly, the best alternative to someone like Tachanka. Well, there's a better alternative. It's
it's
just
Goyo.
Goyo. Yeah, especially because enemies can just run straight through your Tachanka flames and they do no damage.
Well, and they don't even last long enough to like make
No.
it a
Yeah.
problem. The thing about Goyo is like they do the same damage, but Goyo lasts for like 20 seconds. So like,
Yeah, I mean, you put a Goyo on like the door, like the last 40 seconds, and you just win the round.
well, yeah, like, and then that's the thing too is you don't have to equip it. Like, the thing about Goyo is he can just shoot his thing and then have his gun up. Like with Tachanka, you have to like have your launcher in hand if you want to deny for a long period of time. So I know if I run through your fire, I'm just gonna be able to murder you because you're gonna be defenseless, and that's like the big difference. Because when I'm playing against a Goyo, like they shoot that Goyo down, I know that they're actively watching it. Like I know that they're watching that angle. I can't run through it because I have to sprint to get through it, But if I sprint to get through it, then they're just gonna shoot me. With Tachanka, if I sprint to get through it, there's just gonna be some guy sitting with like his little gadget at the other end, just crouching behind a shield, and I'm just gonna knife him or shoot him in the head. So Jaeger, I'd say he's A tier. Super good operator. His ADSs are always just gonna be useful in a game like Siege. Nothing they can really do to him to make him bad. His gun's gone some nerfs, but honestly at this point it plays pretty well. Doesn't feel too bad. High damage, so you can get away with body shotting, whatever. Super good operator, but just doesn't quite crack S tier because his guns just aren't what they used to be. Bandit, I'd say Bandit's probably A tier as well. He's used a ton, especially Bandit tricking now in like this current meta. You see a lot of Bandit tricking. Can't pair with Tabaro anymore, which kind of puts a dent in him, but he's still super good. So definitely A tier for Bandit. Good gun, C4, all that. Frost, I'd say Frost is probably A or S tier. I'm gonna put Frost in S tier actually, because there's so many
That has to
sites.
be rage bait. That's
No, no,
common
no,
bait.
no, no. Because
No, 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 no.
if you put a frost mat on a window and you hold that window, they are not getting in that window. Like, what are they gonna do? Especially on sites
Throw
where
any
like
utility. Throw literally
then
any utility.
you can pair an ADS with that. But I guess I can't judge off of like um
Well, then they throw
operator.
2 utilities.
I guess I'm just saying you have to do so much to like clear a frost out. She wastes so much time. Her gun's great. She has a shield. Um, 3 of the frost traps. Like literally, you just put them on a doorway, or not a doorway, on a window, and then you just hold, and you're fine. I mean, some places you can upside down repel, but even Villa, you can't upside down repel on the um on the closet window. So like you kind of have to watch that, and then they're gonna have the angle from inside of sight. So I mean, you could change her to A, but I think I'm gonna keep her in S, mainly because of her gun. If she didn't have such a good gun, I'd probably put her in A. Valk. Valk is probably an A or an S tier. She's banned all the time though, so I just don't have a whole lot of like data on her because I don't see her in my games much. So like, but the reason she must be banned for a reason, right? Like I know she's annoying to play against, and like if you don't know there's a Valk, you could have those cams spotting you for the entire round, or not spotting you, but calling where you are. Especially with like all the maps like Night Haven and stuff where you can put them in grass and whatever. I'll probably put her in A though, just because I haven't seen her that much, but I know she is very good. Um, Cav, I'll probably put Cav in C tier. She's an operator that you have to deal with, and that's what makes her good. And she is very good for making plays. Like if someone's solo pushing interrogation, that just buys 30 seconds of time for your team because they have to like completely change what they're doing. The error of her usually comes with people like rushing after the interrogation, like the entire team rushing after the attackers after the interrogation. But if you just let her time waste, then you have a lot of value through that. And she's like sneaky. She has pretty decent weapons. Um, Super good at time waste. So, but she's just not an operator you're going to be playing a whole lot because if they know you have a cav, then she's not as useful. So I'll say she's definitely a C tier. Echo. Echo is pretty mid in my opinion. I'll probably put him in D tier. Most Echo players either sit at the very back of site and try and deny plant, and then I just shoot it and plant anyway. Or they just play like downstairs like a Maestro player. And like you can't damage anyone. You can't like there's no like Maestro counterplay where you can look up and then look back down and look up and look back down. Um so I don't know. I'd say he's probably a D tier. I haven't seen Echo actually impact a game in a while, and his drones make so much noise. They're barely invisible. Like I don't know. Mira, I'd say Mira's probably B tier. If she's like in a good spot, she's super oppressive, but she just has so many counters these days. Like most teams have an Ashe or a Kali or a Twitch. Like there's
I'd put Mira in A tier.
I mean I guess because
Round-winning operator.
she's so good when played.
Nitro, shotgun, completely self-sufficient, can control an entire site by herself.
I guess it's just she has so many counters that like half the time I see a Mira, it is like ashed within 5 seconds, 5-10 seconds. So I guess A though, because if you don't run an Ash, then she is super oppressive. But she's just the most counterable like A tier operator. Legion S tier. Legion is like so versatile. You have a shotgun. You have a super good SMG with no recoil. Good fire rate, good damage. Um, just feels great. You have the goo mines, which means you can like roam pretty self sufficiently. Like you can just put them on like all the entry points and you can just do a roam. Or you could just play site. You can put them on default plant, put them on site entrances, make it super hard for them to push. Either way, like you're always getting something out of playing Legion. He's just the default, like, I need an operator to play. Okay, I'll play Legion. Ella, Ella's probably B tier. Her gadget's super good because you have to like expose yourself to it to get rid of it. So like when it comes to pushing things, paired with her gun, if played right, she can be super lethal because like her gun is really good for close range. So if you have an Ella playing like around a corner or behind some cover on a doorway and you push that doorway and get stunned, she's just going to swing you and murder you and you're going to be stunned, so there's nothing you can do about it. But I'd say she's just not very versatile. If you catch her out of that situation, she's pretty easy to deal with. And most people don't play her like that. So I'd put her in B tier. Vigil, uh his gadgets honestly in my opinion not that great because of the like fuzziness. Now, he is time waste because you have to find out where he is if there is one most of the time, kind of like Cav. But I'd say his guns aren't that good since the Boss G nerf. I don't think the Boss G is that great. Kind of limits how he can play. He has to play closer range with it. And the K1A is super bumpy and just doesn't feel great at all. Um, SMG 12 is a insanely good gun though, which kind of bumps him up a bit, but I'd have to leave him in B tier. Alibi, she's probably a C tier operator. Really good gun. Her gadgets are kind of like frost traps in a sense, just not as good because they kind of have to deal with them on a window or just like be annoyed by them all around. So like she's good for that, but when is Alibi really gonna like make or break around? Not very often. Unlike Maestro, who can very easily do that, which is why I'm probably gonna put him in A tier, just for the simple fact that you can zap people, put your cam up, and then just kind of have a network of cams where you just keep distracting them and zapping them. Like it's like when used properly, he can be pretty oppressive. But honestly, you're gonna get the most use out of him in like in very like niche situations. Like it's not gonna be like an every round thing where you get to use your cams like that. So that's what like keeps him from being S. Honestly, he might even border on being B, but I'll put him in A just because he has a pretty good gun. Like having an LMG on defense is unique. Impact, shotgun, good for sight setup. Like you're never wrong for playing Maestro. Clash, I'll put Clash with Maestro in A. I think Clash at her worst is time waste. Because even a bad Clash player is going to waste like 30 seconds to a minute. And that's a lot of time. Like, think about it this way. People always say, like, oh, if you waste a minute as a roamer, then you did your job. But they don't, like, apply that same logic to Clash. And I get that they're going to be, like, closer to sight by the time they're dealing with a Clash, but especially when paired with other operators or, barbed wire, utility, anything. And she even has her own barbed wire, I'm pretty sure. But, like, she can waste so much time that like it just makes her a good operator like by default. And if you play against a good Clash, I genuinely don't know what you're going to do about that unless you have like full like map control where you can like attack her from different angles, because if you're pushing just like one area, one breach, one doorway, whatever, like what are you going to do about that? Cuz she just slows you as you walk in. If she has teammates alive, you're just dead. I think she's definitely an underrated operator that people haven't really realized yet. I think they're starting to though. Cade, S tier, just the best denial operator. You can put them far away so impact EMPs don't, hit it. You have to drone out where it is unless you run a Thatcher. You can use him in combination with Tabaro, which you can't really do with Bandit anymore, at least as far as I know. Um, Overall, just a great operator. Denies so much. Then we have Mozzie. I'd say Mozzie is all right. I don't know if I'd put him in. I'd probably put him in B. I just don't think he's like that impactful. I mean, his drones can be pretty good, but honestly, I don't see people using his drones that much. And even when they are, like, you don't really want to be sat on a drone as a roamer. And that's like Mozzie's more of like a roamer kind of like kit at least. But you kind of have to be sitting on cams with him, and I feel like you kind of just set them up as like Val cams and then just leave them. So it's just like Valk with extra steps. Warden, I'd say Warden is probably A or mm, he's probably A or S tier. But I'm probably gonna say A just because I don't know. I see smokes quite a bit these days. I see a lot of like smoke plays and executes. Um, and flashes. I mean, you're always gonna need to do stuff against flashes. You can play the SMG 12 and the shotgun, so you're kind of like mute with that. He's super good for denial. SMG 12 is just always gonna be a great gun. But at the same time, like he's only useful if there's like smokes going down. But when there's smokes and flashes and stuff going down, he is insanely useful. So I'll leave him in A tier just for not being super versatile, but he is very good. Goyo, I'll also put Goyo in A tier. Goyo can be a very impactful round-winning operator, and he can also be completely useless. Like it's one or the other. Like every time you play him. I mean, I guess that's not true. He can be just decent sometimes, but super good for time waste. Pretty good guns, impacts, all that. Like solid operator. But he can also troll your team as well. So that's something to keep in mind. And that's what keeps him from being in the upper tier. Wamai, I'd probably put Wamai in B. Um, I mean, if you throw a flash, nades aren't as good anymore, which kind of like nerfed him as well. Because if you throw a flash, it's still gonna go off. So it still does what it was meant to do. Like they still have to like reposition because you threw the flash. Because if they stay there, it's just gonna hit them anyway. So like yeah, it gives them more time and everything, but I just I think Jaeger is just the better operator. So by default, he's just a tier below him.
You can
Oryx,
put Ham and Jaeger in the same category,
probably. I'm not a big Ham
but you
fan though,
never
so
see them in the same room together. You know what I mean?
is he John Pork?
Could be.
All right, Oryx. We'll put Oryx in probably B tier. And the reason why he's not below is because of his escapability. He's really good for putting yourself in bad positions and then like escaping. But at the same time, like, using him to counter shields honestly doesn't work if you're against good players. They're just going to have teammates and you're just going to run at a shield and they're going to kill you. And you're just going to look stupid while doing it. Um, Rotates, you take damage. He's the last person you want to make rotates with. He does have the bailiff though, which is good for it. Jumping up hatches isn't all that useful. Like it can be in certain situations, but usually people either hear it or you're too far that it doesn't really matter anyway. So definitely like a B tier operator, but his escapability is probably his best like asset, just being able to run away super quick. Malusi, I'd probably put Malusi. This is a tough one because I feel like she could be A or she could be S, but I think she's A just because like she's kind of easy to counter now. But then again, like if you're pushing a site and there's a Malusi, I'm gonna put Malusi in S tier. I don't think there's any ever a bad time to run Malusi. At worst, she's an alarm. At best, she makes it impossible to push site. I think that makes her an S tier. Aruni, I'd put Aruni in A tier. She's just like a good operator. Like she checks all the boxes. Like she can deny entry. You can reactivate them. She kind of works like an ADS, so she's like, kind of
Word
close
clumpy.
to. She's kind of close to Jaeger. So I definitely say she's probably in A tier. Thunderbird, I think Thunderbird's pretty garbage. I'm gonna put her in F tier. Bad gun, pretty mid util. Her gadget sucks and the enemies can use it, and you have to like. It's just not versatile at all. Um, I don't know. I don't think she's a good operator. I mean, you have the Bearing, which is like her best gun, but
You just say Thunderbird sucks.
yeah.
Thunderbird's are really good. Well, I don't know. I think Greta Thunberg is. I think she has a good message that she's trying to convey to everyone. I just think she's a little annoying about it. Like I feel like global warming is a really big problem. I think some
It,
people just need to like notice that.
Thorn
But
Thorn is probably
Greta
like
Thunberg is
Thorn is probably a C or a B tier. Um, I don't know if I'd put her in. I don't know. She's really good for like denying a site. She's kind of like a Goyo type operator where like if you're going for plant and then those start going off, you have to scatter. But I don't think she's like that great. So I'll probably put her in B. She's just like a middle of the road kind of operator. Azami, S tier, super versatile, super good guns, super impactful operator. Even if you destroy her wall, she can just place a new one down. Um, like another like Malusi situation where at worst she still has a good gun and she still has like impacts, and at best she just like completely ruins your attack. Um, Solus, I'd say since the nerf, Solus has taken a huge hit. I'd put her at B tier. She's not very versatile anymore. You can't really find drones that easily because most of the time you're going to be on looking for drones. They're not going to be on drones because they're going to be actively pushing your building. So I'd say she's a B tier operator at this point. Um, can't use it in prep phase. Can't see what the specific gadget is unless you overclock. Not a lot of time you can use it for. Just pretty low, I think. Fenrir, same thing. I mean, he might be A, but I don't know. I haven't really been bothered by a Fenrir in a while. Like, I feel like I just shoot them. Like, I can't remember the last time I actually walked into a Fenrir mine. And had it like kill me. I don't just like walk out and just shoot it and then go back in or whatever. But it's kind of like Ella, where you have to expose yourself to it, which makes it better. But I'd still say he's a B tier. He's upper B though. He's almost A. And then we have the last two. We have Tabaro, which I would say is an A tier operator. I love the DMR. Feels super good. Um, and then the gadgets ruin everyone's FPS, which actually puts him in F tier. So we're gonna keep him there because he's super annoying. No, we'll put him in A tier because he is like super good and he can be paired with Cade. But yeah. And then Scopos. Scopos, it took me a while because I wasn't playing Siege when Scopos came out. Um,
Scopos.
but I'm gonna put Scopos in A. At best, time waste. At worst, good fragger. That's just like a solid operator right there. You can make a lot of unique plays. It's kind of like, up to you how you play Scopos. So I think that's good. I think Scopos is very good. Yeah, that's my tier list. If you don't agree with it, you're a noob, and I don't want to hear your opinion in the comments.
Scopo.
Yo, Pigeon, this video right here is hands down one of the best videos I've ever fucking watched as a real Siege fan for my entire life. Everybody go subscribe to this guy's channel.